Alright, so it's been a while since we did a video out here in realist Nemophilist land, so we thought that we'd show some forward progress. We have been working like crazy out here, and so we thought we'd just take a moment to show you how we pack a tire. I'm going to let Dan explain the tire walls and the benefit of them, but we thought we'd take a moment and just kind of show you how we do that and what all goes into packing just one tire of our wall.
So basically what we do is we use the bricks. You can see like where Kim and I are standing in front of. And so we take the tires and use them as just really large bricks. So what we do is we put cardboard in the bottom of them to cover the hole up, and then fill it with gravel and dirt and pack it in the sides as hard as you can with a sledgehammer. But then you end up with a wall that is roughly 2.5 to 3 feet thick, as opposed to 4 to 6 inches thick like a standard house.
All right, let's go. All right, so Dan's just gonna add some cardboard in. This is what we do. Basically, we put a little cardboard at the bottom so there's a base there, and then we'll add a few buckets of gravel depending on the tire. All of the tires are different, and so once we start working on it, we can see whether it needs gravel or dirt, and I'll show you our gravel and dirt pile. But Dan's just putting a few boxes in that you can get from your local area, and we'll go from there. So Dan's just putting in some gravel now. That's kind of a half bucket we had left over from yesterday of packing tires, and then we got like a full bucket down here. And then once he puts that in, I'll go over to our gravel pile and I'll add, fill up another bucket of gravel or so. And then from there we'll determine if we want to go to the dirt pile. This will be mostly dirt in the tires, and so we just kind of go from there. But as you can see, he's kind of pushing them into the sides here just so we can kind of start getting the tire filled in, and we got quite a ways to go with that. So I'm going to stop and jump in so I can be of help. All right, so this is our gravel pile. I'm just going to fill up 2 buckets of gravel for Dan and get those over so we can get the tires fed. We had a bit gravel dumped recently, so it's much bigger, which we'll be able to use in certain cases, but in other cases it does make it a little harder for scooping, but we'll make it work. Okay, so I got my bucket filled. Dan's gonna carry that back over, and then we will move to dirt. Okay, so I am at our dirt pile. I'm just gonna start scooping up dirt and put in the tire for Dan. It'll be mostly pretty much dirt from here on out, and so you'll kind of get to see how we do it.
I'll just pour like half of it in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You gonna say anything? Yeah, me too, or?
Alright, so Dan's adding in the bucket of dirt, the first bucket of dirt. There'll be more to come, and then as you see, it's just gonna start beating away. I almost said beating it up, but that's inappropriate. And we've learned to not use so much energy when you're first kind of getting it packed in, because you'll wear yourself out. Once it starts actually getting the sides filled in, it'll require a little bit more strength and effort. And so right now you can kind of take it easy on yourself, although it still is a tremendous amount of effort and energy Dan is using. You can take it a little easier on yourself and just kind of hit them in lightly and kind of go from there. And then he'll be able to feel from where he's going if he needs dirt or gravel. I'm pretty sure it's going to be dirt for some time now. So as you see, this will be going on for a little bit of time. So you can see as the tire is starting to fill in, the hits can get a little more intense. And then sometimes you hit the side wall, which is kind of annoying because it's kind of wasted energy because it doesn't really create much impact. It just bounces off. And so that happens. Dan hardly does it. I do it a lot more, but it does happen, which is just kind of annoying. But as the walls, side walls begin to pack, then you really kind of have to start putting a little more impact. And this is a lot more energy draining and a lot more back breaking and a lot more muscle building, which is cool. But it really does take a lot out of you, and there's still so much more left to go and so many more swings to make. And so it's quite the ordeal. You can take rocks and certain things like dirt, piles of dirt, and kind of push them into the walls where you feel looseness. You'll see Dan checking the tire to see what areas are not packed quite enough and where you need to kind of work on next. To give Dan a little bit of a break, he sometimes takes a rest, and I'll switch over for a little bit. And I'll basically try to kind of finish up or top off mostly what he's done. And you'll see me kind of just try to make sure there's a lot less to do, or finish it off sometimes, depending on where my energy level is. There's a few times where I hit the sidewall. It sucks, so that swing means nothing. Our house is breathing. Alright, I'm gonna let Dan take back over. This break is done. You also want to take out any grass that you find or anything that's going to break down in the tire if you can all help it. And it looks like Dan is now just doing some top off packing. So this tire is pretty much done. So we're just packing a little bit of dirt on top. And then we'll show you kind of how we deal with leveling. So Dan is now checking the leveling of this one. Just to kind of see, it looks a little low on one side, especially just from what I can see here, but he'll know for sure. And so we'll put some rocks underneath just to kind of bring that up, and then I'll go by later and kind of cob that in with some mud, those rocks. And that's kind of how we do it. So okay, so he's gonna lift it up with the bar there, and then I'm gonna grab some rocks and put them underneath. It's good? Okay. Dan says it's pretty good. Looks pretty good. Okay. Perfect. And so that is how we kind of pack a tongue. This one was a little bit smaller than some of the ones you can see we've done down here. And so it didn't quite take quite as long, but it still was a lot of work and effort that went into it. And we try to get about 4 of these done a day. That's where we are now. And we try to make sure we get the row done, an entire row, by the end of the week, within a week's time frame. And so that's kind of where we are. This is where most of our focus is going, and then also tending to other things around the property and our responsibilities and the dogs. So nice checking in with you. We'll be packing tires for the next few months.